Antonio de Torres was part of a circle of artists interested in the renewal of painting in 18th century Mexico. Although he was from Mexico City, he created an extraordinary number of paintings for the wealthy mining towns of San Luis Potosí and Zacatecas in north-central Mexico. The discovery of significant silver deposits in 1592 attracted numerous settlers to the region, where mining, agriculture, and cattle ranching became booming industries. This monumental painting was commissioned by the Franciscan convent church of San Luis Potosí, one of the largest and most opulent religious complexes in all of Mexico. Among the convent's notable commissions in 1718 were two sets of paintings by Torres, one of the life of St. Francis, and the other, the Via Crucis, or Way of the Cross, both long since dispersed. Torres' three large paintings for the choir, including this one, believed to contain the artist's self-portrait, are still preserved in their original location. Recently acquired by the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, the elevation of the cross was conceived as part of Torres' Via Crucis. It depicts one of the most painful moments in the life of Christ, with a notable degree of decorum and dignity. The cross is raised on a diagonal, tilting back into space as Christ's tormentors strain to lift it. Christ's body is a real tour de force of anatomical drawing and stands apart from the rest of the figures through his pale coloration. The Virgin Mary and Christ's disciples look away, disconsolate, while in the background, Roman soldiers usher the two naked thieves about to be crucified next to Jesus. Torres' interest in formal experimentation is evident in how he foregrounds the action, creating a highly theatrical pictorial narrative designed to invoke the viewer's piety. The painting was removed from the church during the tumultuous period between Mexico's wars of independence and the country's revolution. It was acquired in 1903 by a prominent engineer of Basque descent. Almost immediately after, it was shipped to the Basque country in Spain, where it remained in the same family for the last 100 years. When LACMA acquired the painting, it was covered with dirt and old, discolored varnish. Closer examination, however, revealed that it was in very good condition, despite some minor abrasions. LACMA's conservation lab performed various technical analyses of the painting. Infrared photography helped show some old repairs to the canvas. These areas appear dark with uneven edges. Two large, nearly equal pieces of heavy canvas were sewn together to accommodate the width of the scene. The seam is visible at the vertical center of the picture. As was typical of Spanish-American pictures, the seam was covered with paper to strengthen and even out the surface. Fortunately, the original mounting of the canvas has been preserved. The fabric was stretched very tightly and glued to the front perimeter of the strainer, rather than being tacked onto the sides, and was then painted over. This technique, which was common in New Spain, allowed painters to make full use of the linen, as the material could be both costly and scarce. LACMA's conservation scientists examined tiny samples of paint. The cross-section showed that Torres canvas includes a double layer of red ground. In New Spain, painters typically prepared their canvases with red ground, lending their compositions an overall warm tonality. The layer that was applied directly on the canvas is thick and contains larger white particles in a red matrix. This coarse layer filled the canvas weave. The upper ground layer is comparatively thin and has a higher proportion of finely divided red pigment, likely an iron oxide, which creates a smooth, less absorbent surface for painting. The infrared image also captured the details of the landscape and the implements on the ground that were difficult to see prior to cleaning. To dissolve the yellowing varnish and discolored restorations, the conservator employed different cleaning solvents. After the old varnish was removed, it was possible to appreciate the artist's broad brushstrokes. Rather than blending the opaque paints, as in the flesh of Christ, Torres left powerful, expressive brushstrokes befitting the emotional scene, revealing his bold technique and skill. The artist worked in a traditional manner of applying midtones, wet on wet, that were then worked up with highlights and glazes to create volumes. For delicate areas, such as the Virgin's face, he blended the paint to an appropriate high finish. Although the infrared photography revealed no underdrawing on the ground, it is possible that Torres made a sketch using a material that is not detected with this technology. The composition does not present any notable changes, suggesting that Torres planned the scene very carefully before he began painting. Over the span of only 4 years, Torres created more than 70 paintings, many mural size, for the towns of San Luis Potosí and Zacatecas. It is not surprising that he would proceed with a confident and highly systematic approach. The artist must have run a large workshop, one that worked carefully and concertedly with a master exercising decisive oversight. The technical analysis of the painting reveals much of Torres' work methods and how he was able to produce a large volume of high-quality work in such a remarkably short time. This, in turn, speaks of a great efflorescence of painting in 18th century Mexico, when artists were increasingly challenged to satisfy a growing demand for images across the viceroyalty and beyond.